everyone, and welcome to another episode of Tea and Coffee with Paula and
Jay. And we'll be honest with you, this is a pre-record. So on Monday, you're watching it for the first time.
Yeah.
For the first time. But yeah, we're pre-recording. It's now Sunday afternoon here. And the David Parker interview that we're put on here for you is from Friday. So we're doing this because, look around. We'll be tearing this down in about 30 minutes.
Yes.
We are going to try and finish the interior portion of our little build here so that we can start doing things like installing HVAC and other things and getting ready for winter. It's time for winter.
Yes, because behind the curtain is a lovely shade of lime green. There you go. Of spray foam.
There you go.
So there you go. So we're going to be covering that up, making this place a little bit more insulated, soundproofed, and yes, then Jason can go ahead and install the heat pump, the HVAC system, so you can have heating and cooling.
Ooh. With a week of 30, 32 degrees in here, this is going to be a welcome relief, I'll tell you.
Yep.
But yeah, and I know a lot of you, well, not a lot of you, some of you don't like heat pumps and all that kind of stuff. We've been using heat pump for years.
Yeah, we have.
Since Ontario is the first time we installed one there. Yeah, after minus 20, you're going to have to add supplementary heating. But for the most part, because we are, not grid tied and we take care of our own production of electricity, it works for us. It works for us. But when it gets really cold here in Alberta, you definitely have to do additional things.
Yes. And we love our Alberta winters. And we've been so fortunate over the last few years that it's just a week, maximum 10 days of the minus 40 in our neck of the woods. So it's pretty doable. Otherwise, yeah, minus 20, minus 30. It's winter in Canada. So.
Yeah, and Paula was kind of wondering, are we going to have enough news to talk about before Monday? Is there going to be anything going on? Holy smokes. Yes, there's plenty going on. So let's get a couple of the announcements out of the way. So if you're watching this on Monday, you can find us where?
At the Whistle Stop Cafe down in Mirror, Alberta. We'll be there. They start 9 till 8. 9 to 5 is, I think, a car show. But yeah, Chris Scott will be putting on yet another event, serving the Alberta community. And yeah, go ahead and check it out. I already know some of our viewers will be coming down to or going over to say hi.
Yeah, maybe you can watch this episode on your way there.
Yeah.
Keep yourself busy because we probably will as well. And happy Alberta Day.
Yes, happy Alberta Day, everyone. Good time. Oh yeah.
Well, we got no chats. I'm looking at the screen. There's no chat. There's no numbers and stuff. I'm like, oh boy, I feel a little alone here. But I know you're all watching Monday morning. But happy Alberta Day.
Yeah,
we're celebrating 120 years of whatever this is.
Whatever this is that we are hopefully going to be changing. So yes, yeah, happy Alberta Day.
Could be the last Alberta Day, and we may be celebrating Alberta Independence Day.
Yep.
But we'll see. These conversations are certainly going on. And if you haven't caught up, the last couple of episodes of the Alberta Self-Determination with Vincent Gersey and Tom Marazzo has gotten a lot of attention. Yep. Check out the Vincent Gersey one about policing on a provincial or new country level. But in either case, he says no RCMP. You need to get away from that. And he's an OPP officer for 34 years. So he fully understands why localized police on that level is important. The overlaps with RCMP, why you need to have a different police force there, and some great advice for Alberta. Don't rush into it. Right. Don't make the same mistakes, and make sure that you don't have a political connection to your policing. Yeah,
and don't copy the template that's already in place, because that's what you're trying to change to begin with.
Yep. And then the Tom Marazzo episode, lots of good information in there, but I think the highlight for me was the military presence that Alberta already has, what we can have if we do make that change. Cold Lake, Edmonton, and several other bases here in Alberta already exist. And he also warned against joining NATO, but did recommend that you stuck with NORAD, which would be a U.S. alliance for defense.
Yes, and even the fact that the U.S. would really want to make friends with Alberta because we would be their line of defense if anything came over from the Arctic.
Yeah, that was an interesting one. That during the Cold War, the whole plan around World War III defense was fought on Canadian land because the thought there was they wouldn't come, and this would be Russia they were worried about during World War III or the Cold War, that they would be coming over the Arctic Circle, which means Canada as a defense. And this is where World War III could have been fought or may be fought, or it's still the place where you need to provide defense. So regardless if we're still part of Canada or not, Alberta is recognized as one of those grounds where it would be very important to make sure defense is in place. And Tom laid out a lot of that.
Yeah, it was really good. I enjoyed both of their interviews. A wealth of information, just to create that awareness of the role that Alberta can really play, both independently and then internationally. We're working with our neighbor to the south.
Yep, and even the advantages of the U.S. opening a base in Alberta. It brings a lot of money to the region and the area, billions, and it also provides a place where there's an implied defense for Alberta.
There's protection. Yeah,
exactly. So check out those episodes. They're doing very well, and we're still on YouTube, surprisingly, but we're doing good there. So thanks to Tom and Vincent for those episodes. The next two that you can expect will be Bruce Party, as we talk about the Constitution and whether or not we should copy one, make a new one, something in between. And he even kind of provides a reversed Bill of Rights, where you don't give rights to people because you already have them. You're born
Correct.
with them. But you give rights to the government. Which ones are the rights that they have? Instead of trying to lay out rights for people, it's the rights for the government. And if it's not written down, you don't have them. As far as the government,
unless clearly specified, not included. Exactly.
So it was a very interesting one. So you'll enjoy that one. And then Lawrence Solomon, who's a commentator or an author or a contributor to National Post, I believe he's written in a lot of. Lawrence Solomon provides a lot of insight around privatization, why the government needs to be backed off. They don't need to be in everything, how that's a problem. And a lot of his work has been used by the US and UK governments when they started to go from public services to privatized services. So check that out, both episodes. And by the way, the Lawrence Solomon one is a bit of a rude awakening. He doesn't think we're going to be successful, and he thinks the only way is 51st state.
Yes. Because I think that was the interview I did with him and Bruce at the time. And it was a case of, that's the way to go. He was very adamant. He says, like, well, if you think it may happen, do it now. Don't wait. Don't wait.
Yeah. So those two episodes will be coming out hopefully Tuesday and Thursday. So if you're watching this on Monday, maybe tomorrow. So pay attention for those, because especially that Lawrence Solomon one, it's a rude awakening. It's like, wow, like he makes some good points here. It can be a challenge for Alberta. I still think it's best we do it alone. But this is what the series is about.
Right. Bringing
forward all of these perspectives. And he's an intelligent man. Yep. So it's worth checking out. All right. Now let's move on to some of the news of the couple days since we last spoke to you all. One of the first things is we now have Poilievre popping his nose into the Castle Doctrine conversation. And suddenly, now that he's got his seat, he's now talking a little bit more. And here's what he said. He said he would like to amend Section 34.2 of the Criminal Code to say, quote, the use of force, including lethal force, is presumed reasonable against a person who unlawfully enters a house and poses a threat to the safety of anyone inside. And sure, on the surface, first you can tell that Poilievre is not a lawyer, because what he just did there was he just reworded our current situation, which is, he put poses a threat. So who determines that?
Correct. Exactly.
What is a threat? And because of that, he's not really changing anything. Now, Poilievre was part of the government when they removed the Castle Doctrine to begin with, Harper's government in 2012. And this, to me, was just kind of lip service at this stage.
It's a bit too little, too late. Quite honestly, with his feedback, he should have released something, a statement, like immediately after Carney.
Sure, and I don't really care about that part of it. What I care about is he's trying to persuade conservatives into accepting the same thing we already have. He's just changing the words, but we have the exact same thing. So what I proposed was it should read, the use of force, including lethal force, is presumed reasonable against a person who unlawfully trespasses. Full stop.
Yep.
So even his version said like homeowners, like it was property owners, and you have to pose a threat. There it goes. Unlawfully enters a house. Well, what about an apartment? What about your shed? Yeah. What about just your property? And poses a threat to safety. Well, who determines that? It's going to be the exact same thing. Reasonableness through the court of law. So mine is any person who unlawfully trespasses. because the rest of Poilievre's suggested wording still puts a burden on the homeowner to prove that there was a threat to safety and does not protect property. So what if it was your shed, your garage, just your land? Trespass is where the line should be, because that means you're unwelcome, uninvited, and you shouldn't be there.
Right.
So that was kind of one of the first things we saw right after the episode on Friday was Poilievre with that statement. Your thoughts?
Well, I think it's just even what we mentioned earlier. If it's not written down, it's not included. So by just saying trespass, it encompasses, okay, a house, a structure, and your property as well. I'm a proponent for castle doctrine. I'm not a proponent for it being removed and then having no rights to protect yourself, defend yourself and your property. So to me, I thought it was a little bit too little too late. I would have liked to have seen him come out with this, like I said, near enough immediately, same day to speak out about this. But like you said, he's got his seat now, so we'll see.
Yeah, and one thing I love about you, there's many things, but one of the things was, and we won't go into too many details, you are armed. You are armed. I entered your home and you decorated our home. I'm like, oh, look at all these nice decorations. But all of them would be very helpful if somebody's not around or is around, you don't want to be there. So, the odd African decoration may have a dual purpose. We don't have it for the purpose of self-defense, to be clear to the
Yeah, we don't, but
it's decoration. It's decoration. But you definitely had that mindset.
I do. It's coming from where I come from. I come from Nigeria, where there was crime. We had bars on our windows. We have a sliding grate in front of our sliding doors because houses are built differently over there. And yeah, I was very West. So when we first met and we were dating, and I'm like, lock the car and hide stuff away from the car so nothing can be seen in, and lock the door, and I locked you out a couple of times, is because I had the mindset of I'm aware of crime, I'm aware of opportunists, and you were like, la la. This is the time where you were la 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 la, just a bit oblivion to it. But I was like, no, crime is there. Now, my goodness, people can't leave stuff in their parked car in their driveway. They've got to hide the change because opportunists are there.
Yeah, so I'm going to be defending myself on this one. I wasn't la 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 because at that time in Canada, that was not a problem. It's grown into the world that you're familiar with. It's definitely turned that way. Yeah. But back in the early 2000s, we did live relatively crime-free. Home invasion was a thing you heard in the States. Yeah. Sure, there was organized crime, but even they had limits. Not anymore.
Yeah.
Okay, so 20 years of going down that slippery slope of coddling criminals has turned into a very dangerous world here, even in Canada.
Yeah.
The other big news, Danielle Smith announced the Alberta wallet. Darn. Okay, these are the kind of things that really bother me. It always comes in under convenience or service
level stuff.
Yeah, but if you drill down into it and take a closer look at it or understand the SDG, so the social development or whatever that silly thing is from the UN, and you take a look at other countries who are already several steps ahead, like China, you know that this is the foundation to social credit scores, controlling commerce, controlling and understanding your finances. And at some point, you won't be able to purchase something, get something, or receive something that you will need based on data.
Yeah.
So this Alberta wallet thing, I'm not for this. I'm not a fan of this. I'm a technologist.
Yes, you are.
Okay. I wrote lots of software in my days. I'm not afraid of technology. I'm not even afraid of advancing with technology. What I am concerned about is when technology is leveraged or abused and we're not given the full story.
But don't worry, they're going to lock it down. Our data will be completely protected, right?
Okay, just to be clear, there's no such thing as fully encrypted and secure. It's never been a thing. It's never been a thing. The illusion of encryption and security and confidentiality is what they're selling you. Specifically, this Alberta wallet, they're selling it to you as a convenience so that you don't have to carry around your health card and other IDs from the government. Some of my problems with this is not just if you don't have your phone, it's lost, but who controls that access? You're putting an app on your phone, which if you're a programmer like me, You know what the APIs for the phones allow you to have access to. Sometimes you'll have to say yes and I agree when you install an app to things like your phone log, your
Yes.
files, and there's always going to be a justification. We need access to your phone to be able to dial the services for you. Or if you need help, you can push a button in our app and boom, you're going to get connected. But that also opens up all your calls. It's not just limited to anything like that. Hey, you need to upload through the app some document that you took a picture of, like a receipt, in order to get reimbursed. Therefore, we need access to your files. Well, it's not just that file. It's all files. And if you strongly believe that the government is capable of creating applications and software that is unhackable, you're a fool. And if you think that the government will not use any of the other data that's available to them, like your location data, your cellular data, your call logs, your text messages, then you're a double fool, because they're going to tell you they're doing it, but they're going to tell you it's because they're providing you services for it. So my challenge with this particular one is, on the surface, she's saying, hey, this will be your health card ID. Okay, let's just give her a little bit of a credit and say, okay, it'd be more convenient. But Google, Samsung, Apple, all of these devices already have a wallet, which isn't run by the government, isn't coded by the government, and can hold your health card. So to do what they say it's for, it already exists. So why in the world are they spending millions of dollars rolling out software that's going to be insecure? Because they're not great at this. I should know. I worked in the government. Okay, I know what the software they had on the municipal level was. You'll be shocked if I sat down and told you all the stories about how insecure things were, how hackable they were, how inconsiderate with your data they are. So I know that this isn't going to be world-class encryption and security for you. So even just on that level, if somebody wants to get all Albertans' healthcare information, driver's license information, tax information, property information, municipal, like if it's all consolidated, it's not going to be difficult. And that's not being nefarious. That's just being real. Like someone can hack into it.
Just being realistic.
The nefarious side is, well, why do they want an app on your phone? Why do they want to get around all of the protections that are in place with security already and have their own version? I'm not comfortable with this one at all.
Yeah, and ironically enough, I used my Google Wallet for the first time a couple of days ago, because when you were at Home Hardware and you can get points with Scene, I was like, okay, I'm now trying to find my current Scene. It's like, oh, hold on. I always hear about this Google Wallet. Let me just go check it out. And I've put my Scene and some of my loyalty cards in my Google Wallet, and then it says, if you want to put payment in. I'm like, no, I'm not putting my payment in. But certainly, I actually just started using it just a couple of days ago to put my loyalty points in.
Yeah, and Alberta could use that technology, because that's been around for quite some time, and just enable your health card and your driver's license and insurance documents and other things can become part of that pre-existing wallet. The question is, why did they make their own? Exactly. I know why. A lot of people are very slow to wake up on that one now. Yeah. So the Tom Marazzo episode, definitely check it out. Talk about the military. And even Bruce Party is on our side on this one. Corey Morgan. I liked what
he had to say.
Corey Morgan's going to be joining us on Tuesday. So tomorrow, if you're watching this on Monday. But he seems to not see the problem yet. We'll have a bit of a conversation on Tuesday. Bruce Party gets it, though. Because they always will phase out the other stuff. So people are like, you can choose the card for now.
For now, exactly.
For now. We're headed towards a cashless society. ATMs are being removed. Banks are starting to not give out cash. Everything's being pushed to digital only. And that's the transition period. And what Bruce is highlighting here is, right now, they're giving you the card. Later, they're going to say it's expensive to maintain and you need to move. And I guarantee you, they're going to give away free basic phones at some point so that you have no excuse.
Yes, correct. I would agree, because it is a feature that, you need, especially anything digital. Yes. Oh, you need a code, you need this. And some people say, well, I don't have a smartphone. Well, it's going to be obligatory. So, yes, they'll enable you. They'll, here's a free phone.
Absolutely. So when you hear that headline, don't clap.
Yeah, exactly.
The entire reason is because they're going to move everybody to digital. You'll have no choice. And with Senate Bill 209, which is supposed to be the protection of children from pornography bill, everybody's going to require digital ID. BC's already done this. BC's already ahead of Alberta on this one. And that digital ID is going to be used for your online access. So at some point in the future, because of Senate Bill 209, if that's passed, and it will, all of us are going to need digital ID to access the internet. So when people say, well, I still have my paper card, great, but you won't have internet. And it'll be considered your choice. You have the choice to access the internet through the digital ID system. It's your choice. But your choice is just like when you didn't want vax, it will be, well, then you just can't participate where everybody else is, like restaurants, flights, work. But it'll be a choice, and that'll be the way they position it to you. Corey nails lots of issues. On Tuesday, we'll be talking about the residential school grave hoaxes, as he calls it. And he's going to highlight some of his reporting and research on that. But he's also highlighting here some of the books that need to be removed. People are fighting against this, but even the book itself needs to be blurred because this is pornographic cartoon and children's book. So Corey, thanks a lot for that.
Yeah, it's good enough to be exposed to children, but not good enough for X.
Correct. And as we're kind of rushing through this because we want to get to our interview with David Parker, there was a post here. The whole world can see that Canada is being transformed into some shade of communist garbage hole. Everyone can see this except for Canadians. Nope, a lot of Canadians can see this, and the government's stopping and targeting us. So Bill C-11, that's passed. Bill C-18, that passed. Bill 63 was drafted. It will come back in another form. And then, of course, Senate Bill S-209. All of these are to ensure that access to the internet is controlled, access to information is controlled, what is called media news is controlled, and they can easily redefine it as hate. So you can become jailed for this kind of stuff, like the stuff that we're doing here today.
And this video that he tagged from the Joe Rogan Experience is just basically saying, he was asked, like, what country would you like to live in outside of the US? And he says, well, it used to be Canada and just not anymore. And he just basically talks about the convoy and how Canadians are treated and how it's going communist.
Yep. Somebody commented that Polyev is here to stop the separatist movement. I agree. He is here to stop the movement, but it's actually growing stronger in Alberta and now in Quebec. 3 by-elections in a row, the Separatist Party of Quebec, Parti Québécois, has won. And when I speak to people in Quebec now, there's a real big movement to bring it back, separation. So if the Parti Québécois wins their provincial election next year, their commitment is to bring a referendum for separation. So 2026 could be Alberta, 2027 could be Quebec. 2 movements going at the same time is going to help both movements. And like never before, Canada is going to be faced with this question.
Yeah.
Here's my comment about Google, Apple, Samsung already have wallets. No reason to bring in the new one. Here's my comment about BC already has one, and they're already making app-only services, including digital ID online. So those people with the argument, oh, you still have a card, means nothing. That card will not be accepted online. You have to do things like have the app. And again, with the left saying Polyev is playing to the violent fringe. He's using a picture from the U.S. It's not even Canadian.
Yeah, exactly.
This is, I believe, St. Louis was this. And I actually believe these guys are innocent. They should have been fined because BLM was attacking their home. This is what this picture is from. But I pose a question to them and say, hey, why don't you go ahead and post your home address online? Because let the criminals know where you are, and we'll see how you feel, because I suspect you're not going to do that, because we all know that criminals are actually dangerous, and these people are not they're being very disingenuous, and they always have been. Not a single one of them is going to put a lawn sign up that says no resistance, no firearms. They're not going to put that there, because they actually do know that what we're actually fighting against is your safety against criminal mindsets and activity. Marty, he has posted up I'm a fed up video. He's kind of fed up with people attacking him, pretending like he can change the whole world and they need to stop him. I totally get his sentiment there. We get attacked all the time. So Marty, kudos for you on that one, and nice raspberries. Go watch his video if you want to know about that. And as we're wrapping up here, do go check out, because it's now going to be available for you. It's coming out tonight. The Dr. Shoemaker video that I'm posting. I put a lot of work into this. I'm learning how to build and create all of this, the videos, the clips, and putting them together. So I hope you enjoy it. But I think from an information standpoint, This is one of the most important
Blow your socks off.
interviews we've ever done.
Yep.
And let me take a second here to show off my handy work by playing the trailer for you.
The vaccine injuries also are amenable to ivermectin and certain other agents, and we're not allowed to use it. And that's the crime. They did research in the lab in which they proved 100 mice out of 100 died if they were exposed to SARS-CoV-1. 100 out of 100 mice lived if they were given ivermectin. Cleveland Clinic proved that you were 4 and 5 times more likely to get COVID as a member of their staff. The people who had 4 or 5 jabs, off work all the time, sick all the time. The people who had 0 jabs, they were the healthiest staff. As plain as the nose on my face, that there's plenty of injury, plenty of sad truths of ill health, disability, both for children and adults from the COVID-19 vaccine.
So as you can see, we're starting to get a little bit dramatic with the music and everything. But yeah, please check out this episode. It's going to be an important one. It's full of information. It was actually difficult to pick which ones should be in the clips. There's a lot in there.
But yes, well done to you, love, for working on this. First of all, doing the interviews, and then taking the time to edit and produce and put it out there for everyone. So well done.
I had to learn how to transition and fade.
Transition.
Into a videographer and filmmaker. But please enjoy that one. Pass it around. It's an important one. And so far, so I've uploaded it to YouTube already to make sure the checks were good. YouTube's saying, yeah, we're good to go on this one. So we'll see.
How the times have changed.
Now, speaking of changing times, David Parker is going to provide some information to everybody as we have a conversation about running in municipal elections.
Cool.
And here we are. So this is a pre-record, and we got David finally, because in the morning it's very difficult. As we know, we have young kids as well. And I really appreciate him taking the time to hang out with us because we're talking about the municipal election.
For sure. And we have a little bit of an interest in that this year.
A little bit?
just a little.
And what is it you're doing?
I am running for school board trustee for Wild Rose Division. And you are?
Division 6 for Brazeau County Councilor. And it's going to be a full slate, it looks like. There's going to be at least 3 of us and possibly more.
Oh, wow.
So without further ado, let's go ahead and bring in the man himself, Mr. David Parker. How you doing?
Good. I haven't shaved in a while, so I'm looking a little rusty, but that's okay.
Neither has Paula and I.
How was you guys? Sorry that I've missed so many of our pre-scheduled meetings. It's just, as you said, mornings are difficult. So,
no, I really appreciate your commitment to try and get it done, though. Like, you tried to reschedule, we did what we could, and then here you are. You're helping us in the middle of the afternoon to get it done. So, David, I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, and it's our honor to have you on the show. This is going to be playing Monday morning, so all you watching now, happy Monday, happy Alberta Day. I hope you're enjoying yourself. A little blast from the past. If you recognize our outfit from Friday, that's because we're recording Friday.
Yes.
But David, thank you so much. I just want to personally thank you because I would say roughly 60 to 65%, maybe even 66% or 2/3 of my reason for running comes from you. You're the person who's kind of motivating people to get out there to do it. You talk about how much change can come from doing it, and you encourage people to do it. Just give it a shot. When I did my federal election, you're also very supportive of that as well. So I just want to say you're about 2/3 of the reason why I'm running, and I appreciate your support on that.
Well, thank you for that. And I'm just really encouraged that you guys are doing that. It's proving to be a lot harder than I'd hoped, but I am seeing a lot of positive signs. One of the things I think we need to focus on, and I'm glad that you're focusing on this, Jason, and Paula, that you're coming and deciding to do this as well. We need more people that actually have experience as leaders. That's the long and short of it. The problem that we face as a society is that so few people are being trained up as leaders on the grassroots level that we have nobody to fill these myriad of positions. You guys are realizing that now as you're running, I'm sure. Jason, did you say 3 people are going to have all 3 of the positions that are open, or how is that working?
Right now, there's 3 people that's running for Councilor Division 6. So the incumbent, myself, and the previous councilor, her name is Sarah. So there's 3 of us running for the one position right now.
Have you looked at what the vote total will be in that riding?
I believe it was under 200 total. There's 600 people that can vote, 600 people, and about 1/3 shows up. So we're looking at trying to get 100 supporters, I think, for the win here.
So look at that. To be on a council that I don't know what the budget of your particular council is, but this is a municipal government that oversees roads, oversees property taxes, oversees all these things, and 100 people will pick who that person is, maybe 200 at the max, right? Assuming a high turnout. I bet you if you look at the numbers, Paula, the numbers even lower for you for school board.
For school board trustee, yeah, maybe. I mean, one thing I've been very curious about, I'm an immigrant, and one of the things I couldn't wait to do when I became Canadian was to vote. So every type of election that Canada has had since I became a Canadian citizen, I've voted in. And it's just to have my say. I'll admit there have been times when I'm like, oh, I don't know, between any of these people, I'm just going to pick one. I'll hold my hand up to say that. But I've gone out and voted. So I don't understand why, because to me it is a privilege to be able to vote, to be a Canadian, to be in Alberta, and to vote is a privilege. So I'm surprised where voter turnout is so low. I mean, could either of you explain that to me?
There's a lot of people that are complacent. They just leave it to other people. They don't care. They don't pay attention. And frankly, I think there's a lazy factor as well. I think all of those factors play a role. David, your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, this is something that I've been thinking about literally for the last 5 years intensively. And probably if you think about my experience in politics, basically for the last 21, 22 years now, why don't people want to get involved in politics? And I think the answer is that most people believe they can't make a difference. The vast majority of people don't think that their vote matters. And this is another thing, a lot of people think, oh, I'm not informed enough to make a decision, so I'll just let the people who are informed about these things make the decision. And that happens a lot in the context of school boards, because most people don't even know how school boards function. They don't even understand the role that a school board plays in their children's education. For most people, their understanding of education is the interactions that they would have with their teachers, of their children's teachers, the principal. It never goes to the point of them realizing that they could have a democratic say in how their children are being educated, because we live in a society that has forfeit our privileges, if you want to call it that. I think we earned those rights, let's call them, and we're letting them be torn away from us by neglect. And I think most people just assume that the people in these roles had their best intention at heart, and just everybody was kind of good at the core, and we're seeing the results of that now in our society, which is an education system that is propagandizing our youth against their own race and background. We're seeing this happen all over Alberta, even in rural Alberta. I've had people come up to me after meetings and tell me that they have an adopted Black daughter, and this daughter came home crying, talking to her parents, saying, I don't want to make it in life because of the color of my skin. I want it to be on the content of my character, but they're telling me that I'm oppressed and that I need to be elevated, and that everyone needs to elevate me because of that. And what we're looking at is the infiltration of a religion, right? And when you have a population like the Canadian population that is so... And I think the Alberta population less so. We are more active here, which is why we're able to get rid of Jason Kenney, and why Danielle Smith is where she is. Whether she's doing as much as many people want, she's probably doing more than Jason Kenney would have. And the needle's being pushed. We're seeing APP meetings. I'm sure both of you have been in a number of them, with an average of over 200 people showing up almost every night whenever these meetings are being held all over the province. People are getting more engaged, but that's still such a tiny fraction of the population. If you even take all the signatures, which Dennis Beaudry has said there's about 250,000, I think it's somewhere in that, 220 to 250,000 people have signed onto APP pledging to sign a petition. If you take all those people, it's just a little bit over 4% of the Alberta population, right? We're talking about still a very small fraction of engaged people. And so it's a long roundabout way of saying I think that most people have forfeit their rights to be citizens. And just, I mean, to think about it in the terms of municipal and school board elections, literally the majority of people have forfeit that right and are letting a 40% of the population make those decisions for them. I think it's a terrible travesty. I think it could lead to very bad outcomes. And so I'm just glad that people like yourselves, we're seeing it happen in Calgary and Edmonton and all over Alberta. Now, I'd hope we'd see a huge landslide and we'd see hundreds and hundreds of people getting involved across the province. We're not seeing hundreds of people run, but we are seeing people like yourselves run. And even if only, let's say, 100 people get elected, let's see, there's about 380 school board positions in the province, I think. I might have that wrong. There's somewhere in that range. And even more, I believe, municipal councillors, because there's lots of small municipalities that don't have enough people for one school board. There's going to be probably somewhere in the range of 1,000 people elected. And now those are not exact numbers, but 1,000 people elected this fall for municipal and school board positions. Well, if 100 of those are people who agree with us that the government serves the people. Sorry, my lawyer, I'll call him back. Give me 1 second. Sorry about that. When we think about it, the left has never thought it's all or nothing, right? They've always thought we need to get our ideas into the institutions. Well, I think enough people have woken up to the reality that we want our ideas, which is the government serves us, we don't serve the government, that the government is not the final authority, God is the final authority, and that our rights are God-given, they are not granted to us by the government, which is progressively how Canadians are viewing rights. If we get even just 10% of the positions that are now open elected with people who see it that way this time, we can use that base to double it or triple it next time. And within a decade, we could have a majority of the positions. So I'd hope we would see a rapid, almost, I guess you could say, peaceful revolution occurring. I'm a bit impatient. I usually want things to happen more quickly than they do. But I think that you two are a great example of people who are living out what I think is the solution to the problem that faces us.
Well, thank you very much for that, David. Really appreciate it a lot. And this is how the leftists took over the school boards. It started with one, and they kind of bullied the others and kind of shamed the other ones and scared them with cancel culture and that kind of stuff. And eventually there was half of it, and now there's a majority. You take a look at a place like Pickering, Ontario, where Councillor Lisa Robinson has been fighting. She's the last one on the board that has any common sense left. There's a couple that bully the rest. The rest are pretty passive and just kind of go along with what the mayor and the radicals are going for. Simple things like saying you shouldn't have this stuff, nudity in front of children on our streets. Just saying something as simple as that gets her hay taken away. And Alberta, it's not as bad as Pickering, but we saw flags flagged up on the flagpoles here in Brazeau County that are politically motivated flags that don't need to be sitting there in front of the county building. And even with the school, there's a flag still right now sitting in the window of the school. That's a politically motivated flag that doesn't belong there, in my opinion, as well. So there's still some work to do here. And even just one sound, common sense voice on a passive or a bullied board or council can make a difference. So we don't have to replace everybody, but get somebody strong on there.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree. And certainly when I started looking into the school board trustee and the role it has, I was blown away on the influence on the direction the school takes. And I think it's something every parent should get behind, look into, because it's not just a case of, oh, we have this meeting, we're going to discuss like some sort of event. No, it's the direction and the quality of education that school is going to offer their students and your child. So really, I'm very excited. The more I looked into it, I was like, this is something I definitely want to play a part in. to help improve the quality of education for Alberta students.
Well, and it's interesting, right? Is it's so few number of votes. You said 200 voted last time out of 600. That's a 33% turnout, right? Like why that right there is the answer to why this kind of corruption. And I don't know this particular example, but it's happening everywhere. I was at a meeting in Red Deer County where a bid was given to a company that was substantially more than another bid. And there was no transparency as to why that bid was given. And we're talking, multiple millions of dollars higher than the other bid. So what they did a big, they weren't going to do anything. They were just going to leave it. And then they were going to change the bylaws so that the council couldn't oversee specific spending items, only overall budgets, right? And I showed up right before my first son was born, and there was about 70 people at a ball diamond, and they demanded an audit. So they have this audit, right? They go through the whole auditing process, and then they never release the results.
Why not?
Right? And just because they say, well, there was no findings of any malfeasance. That's all they said. They never released the actual results, right? So what we're dealing with is a really entrenched, and this was like a big part of why the Wild Rose Party was created, because Alberta has a political culture of an old boys club that takes care of their own. And that was the PC Party of Alberta. And it's still entrenched on the municipal level, and it's still entrenched. So there's really two factions that have controlled most things for the last 30 years. There's what we were just discussing, which is the uprising of the woke agenda. Those are the people that we hear about, that we see, who are putting up these flags, who are trying to push their agenda through the schools and municipal governments. Jody Gondak comes to mind as a prime example in Alberta of an activist of this nature. But then there's also the group that has been, let's say, using this to further their own corruption. And I think a lot of those people are the old PCs, right? There's a lot of people making a lot of money off of green technology that isn't working for the people, right? Our electricity bills are going through the roof, and we're installing all these solar panel fields everywhere and these windmills. What we're up against is a corruption that's been created by apathy and is being fed by an ideology, right? The ideology is being used to take over the institutions, and then the institutions are being used for corruption to fill the pockets of the people who are benefiting from this. So you're going to come up against these things when you get elected. And I think I don't say that enough to people. I don't warn them perhaps of what they're going to be facing. I've been accused of that by people that I know. Like, you guys already know. You guys have already been facing as a family, and you, Jason, as a candidate, and everything that's happened by standing out. You're seasoned veterans in this, but so I'm not telling you anything that you don't know. But I think for your listeners, don't expect it to be easy. In fact, go in knowing that you're going to be called names. You're going to have your reputation tarnished. Why? Because there's some people that are making a lot of money off of this. That's one reason. And the other reason is you're actively opposing the dominant ideology in your institutions. Like the dominant, let's call it for what it is, the dominant religion, ideology. There's a lot of different words for the worldview that is dominant right now in our institutions. It's taken over most of them. So we have to realize that when we're opposing the establishment, they are in the defensive position and we're in the offensive position, which means that we're harder working. We have to be more intelligent. Like, there's a lot of difficulty that comes from being the upstart. But also, the nice part is they move at the speed of institutions and we move at the speed of individuals. So I think it can be done. I think we can win this over the long term. I think we're going to, but it isn't going to be easy. And I'm proud of you guys for taking that risk.
Aw, I really feel a little bit honored there, David, because you're such a political mind. You've been working at this for a long time. You understand how this thing works. And to get a little bit of support from you, that means a lot, David. I really appreciate that. There's a couple of things I want to kind of chat with you about. So municipal level is where it really impacts everybody's day to day. It's the roads you're on, it's the schools you're going to. This is a really important level to get on. But there's also been some changes from the provincial government towards municipal office holders. So there's now some new law where they can remove elected officials, and they're also bringing in municipal level parties. We don't have them rural yet, but you're starting to see them really pick up in Edmonton and Calgary. And I personally think parties destroy politics. Like this is how you pervert it. There's a bunch of peas there for you. And I'm kind of concerned that the future of municipal politics is party based, where you're up against a well-funded machine like we see on provincial and federal levels. So David, what's your opinion on the introduction of parties on a municipal level and the future of that, and the provincial government making decisions like removing elected officials? I'm kind of concerned about that.
A couple of things. The first thing that I would say is that this is not a new idea in the developed world. So look at the United Kingdom. In fact, or the United States for that matter, every municipal politician in the United States is either Republican or Democrat, pretty much. There's some independents, but it's very party-based down there. Even more party-based. In fact, it's like directly the federal, because they don't have provinces the way we do in the United Kingdom. The federal government or the federal party is who runs the nominations for their municipal. They call them council races. So it's not a surprise that something like this would happen. We have to remember that Alberta is a very frontier place. And so we haven't developed some of the institutions that, say, places like the UK and the US have. However, I think your gut reaction is correct, that this is actually a way of controlling people. Parties are primarily used to gatekeep, right? The idea is to gatekeep out the people that aren't with the consensus, right? Or aren't with the consensus of the party, at least. However, I think that we're moving away as a society. And if you look at a lot of European nations, Israel, a lot of other democracies, the two-party state is really kind of becoming archaic. And I think the UK is a really good example of that. We're seeing Nigel Farage come up in a big way. Now, Tommy Robinson, of course, has said that Nigel's not going to do anything, and he's really pushing him hard, kind of like I do with Danielle. But the point of that is that you need people pulling. The left is always pulling us to the left, right? They're always demanding more and more and more. Well, we need more people on the right demanding that we go that way to get some kind of equilibrium. But UK, the two-party state is collapsing. It's already collapsed in Germany, France, all pretty much, I would argue, almost all European nations have moved to a different model. And I think that eventually it would be better if we move to that model, which is lots of parties. Because you're going to need to be organized, right? You're going to need to have alliances and groups and coalitions. That's how politics works. You can't get anything done if you don't have something along those lines. If you just have, let's say in the Alberta legislature, for example, 87 independent voices, how are you ever going to get anything passed, right? It's not going to happen. Your parties in that sense play some role, but what I would like to see is lots of parties that represent the interests of their local constituents as opposed to the broader coalition, which we see the problem in Canada, which you have rightly brought up many times, Jason, in your run as a PPC candidate. The Conservative Party of Canada has to reflect the values of Eastern Canadians and Albertans, and those that they're not aligned. And it's an impossible coalition. It would be much better if we followed the Australian or even the German model of having a independence-minded Alberta party in coalition with a Conservative party in Parliament, like the Bloc Québécois does for Quebec. I think that is the inevitable direction that we're heading as Albertans and Canadians. And so you could see something like that happen on the municipal level. But I think that would be a much better outcome than this kind of two-party state situation that we're experiencing right now.
Well, I certainly wouldn't compare you to Tommy Robinson, but I think I like to compare you more to like a cold splash of water in the face or rude awakening. Because every time you've been on and I've heard you speak, David, you've always been, this is the truth. This is the fact. You may not like it, but tough. This is the reality we're living in. This is what you need to do. And I've always appreciated that because it hasn't been, oh, you can do it, or, leave it to someone else. It's like, no, you want change, you do it. You get up, you stand up. And I think you've always been a cheerleader for that, for anyone that you're speaking to with regards to stepping up and making change. So thank you for that. Said it wouldn't compare you to Tommy Robinson.
Well, thank you. Thankfully, I haven't been under solitary confinement for 8 months or anything like that. But
Yeah.
no, and also I just I only believe in the peaceful means of democracy. I think Tommy does too. I can't speak for him on that, but certainly don't want to see any kind of violence or anything happening on our side, because I think that discredits us. We saw how well the convoy in Ottawa did in light of that, and I think we need to maintain the spirit of the convoy in everything that we do. But I don't think we have to be nice necessarily, right? Like, I think niceness is not a Canadian virtue that we need to replicate here. We need to say the truth is the truth. So I appreciate you saying that you noticed that. I think if we're not doing that, if we begin lying, even just a little lie, and there's a great book called Live Not by Lies that came out during COVID that I thought was an incredible work. But when you start lying, and Jordan Peterson talks about this too, when you start telling lies to get power, then all of life is just covering up the lies. But if you're always honest, if you're always just, this is the facts, this is how it is, right? Like, for example, a reporter called me yesterday and asked me how the school board elections were going. And I said, frankly, not nearly as well as I'd hoped. And that's just the truth, right? Like, it is hard to get people to do what you're doing, to put their names on the ballot, to actually go forward and try, because trying necessitates the possibility of failure, right? And that is really hard for people. People don't want to fail. But I believe, and I think you guys do too, that the only way to get good at something is to fail at it. You're never going to start out as good at something, right? You're not. So if you do it over and over again, eventually you will get good at it. I mean, the classic example that's always used in political conversations is, of course, Abraham Lincoln, right? Abraham Lincoln failed at almost everything that he did for the first 30 years of his life, and then he became president, right? Like, anybody who's ever got good at something, really good at something, knows that it takes a lot of work to get good at it. And politics is no different. And I think the problem that most people have, and what I appreciate about you guys, is that most people, they think, oh, if I can't succeed right when I start, then the system's rigged. I hear that all the time, right? There's nothing that can be done. Well, you're not going to get good at something right off the hop. Like, what else? You guys have kids. I have a son. What are they good at when they start out? Right?
Yeah, no, exactly. And I think that's, again, the same principles we do teach our boys. Is like, it's okay to fail at something, but you got to try. You got to just keep trying. And it's even okay if you don't succeed the next time or the time after that. But if you don't try, you're definitely going to succeed at failing. So just keep going. Before we wrap up, what advice would you give for someone who is sitting down watching, like, you know what, September's coming up, like
3 weeks.
Yeah, like before, what advice can you give them to get up and go have a look, pick an area, whether it's local council, whether or not it's the school trustee board. What advice would you give them to those who are considering it?
Well, one of my key, famous, even some people put it on a shirt, pieces of advice is the world is run by the people who show up. So if you want to have a say in how your society is going, but you're not willing to show up. And this is the one that I hear all the time online. We're not going to vote our way out of this. Okay. Well, then what are you going to do? Right? Because the other side voted their way into this, right? They showed up at the board meetings. They're true believers in their mission. I think the problem isn't that we aren't that we don't vote enough. It's that we don't. Like it's not that the voting is bad. It's that we don't vote, right? And people think that voting is showing up and casting a ballot for a politician at a general election. You guys know from having been on a campaign earlier this year and now doing campaigns that is not even remotely what politics is, right? Politics is people. Politics is relationships. So my piece of advice to everybody is look at the results of the people who haven't given up. So the answer, Danielle Smith was one of the most hated politicians in all of Alberta. She couldn't even eat at restaurants for a while, right? And now she's the premier. Now, you may like Danielle Smith or you may not like Danielle Smith, but she didn't give up, right? Mm-hmm. I have a friend who one day decided that he wanted to be on city council in his local city, and he ran and he lost. And a by-election came and he ran again, and now he's on city council. There's a bunch of people that I'm really excited about running in Calgary. One of them is my good friend, Mahmoud Mora, who is a huge freedom fighter and started the one of the main organizers for the Million March for Children, right? And he's running in Northeast Calgary. Now, I think he's got a good shot at winning because he's built a big group. What even if he doesn't win? Then he should do it again and again and again, because he'll get better. He'll learn from what happened last time and he'll do more. And the advice that I give to everyone is go fail. Go run and don't win, because then you're going to know what you did wrong that time and you're going to get better, because there's so few people running and there's so many spots that if you keep going, you will not fail. So start. Do it now. Take the leap like these two are. And after you've done it, you will realize that the competition is not very strong. I'll put it that way.
YOLO.
YOLO, you only live once for sure. And I'm running for the PPC, certainly gave me thicker skin, and I certainly learned a lot. And I absolutely agree with what you said there. Give it a shot. You may fail, but that by-election, you might get in there. So also, last thing I want to kind of throw out to all the people is, if you don't feel like you can run, find somebody who is running and get behind them. You can volunteer, bring your neighbors, make sure you get out to vote. The most important thing here is to go and vote. So if you're not going to run, go find somebody that you can support and volunteer. And if you can't do that, make sure you at least you vote. You bring your people around you and get them out there as well. Because sometimes these elections are won by 1 or 2 votes. So all of them are going to matter. David, thank you so much for your time.
On the smaller rural municipalities, literally every vote matters. Every single.
Yep. Yeah, I'm going to spend half my campaign selling myself, but I'm also going to spend the other half explaining why your vote matters and why you should get out there. Because my incumbent, he can get exactly the same number of votes that you got last time, but I can still beat him by bringing 2 more dozen people out. So, absolutely.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you guys. And thank you for rising up and taking the challenge.
It's our pleasure. We love our community, and this is our way of trying to give back. So, David, thank you for the inspiration and the encouragement. You've been a great person to watch over the years. And yeah, Paula's not wrong. You throw the cold water in your face because you tell the truth. And we saw that with the by-election results. You're like, hey, Pierre did better than I thought. So kudos for him on that one. You were telling the truth. So,
yeah. All right.
Have yourself a wonderful day, and take care of that beautiful family of yours. And we'll wait for that announcement a little bit later to appear.
Okay, sounds good.
Bye, David.
Bye. Well, that was awesome. Okay, so on our side, 1 second went by. But for you guys, 35 minutes or so with David Parker, 30 minutes or so. But I hope you enjoyed that interview. We did, having it. Yep, and he's very supportive. Anybody that wants to get into the school board or council. And I think the biggest takeaway there is every vote matters.
Every vote matters, and stand up. Stand up, represent, try and make a change. And it's okay to fail. Just keep at it. That's how you learn better for next time and for next time. Like, even you can fail more than once, that's fine. But yeah, try and fail, because if you don't even do that, you'll always fail.
I hope you're not foreshadowing anything. I hope you don't fail, and I hope I don't fail again. So I hope you're not foreshadowing anything. But Paula's right. You just keep fighting. It's worth it. The children are worth it. Your community is worth it. And if not this time, maybe next time.
Yep.
Well, everybody, thank you very much for joining us on this pre-record. I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll definitely see you around.
Take care.
And God bless.